Okay, I am all masked for my very last pour. So the only thing that I'm going to pour are the railings, the back windows, these windows up here, the window trim, this up here, and everything else will be, it's all masked. Oh, and I'm going to pour down here in this area so that I have the darkest shadows underneath the tables and chairs and the people's feet and everything. That's the last thing. And so far, I think I'm really happy. What I'm going to do next is make up 3 really concentrated colors of the yellow, blue, and red so that I can have my deepest intensity of color. So, put a little bit of water in this little cup here. I'm going to put out a lot of color this time so that it will be as strong and undiluted as possible. Because if I put another thin layer on there, it still won't be as dark as I need it to be. So I really need to have this as strong and deep as I possibly can. So just that little bit of water and a little bit more than a ½ inch of pigment in there should make that quite strong. Using a flat brush like this allows me to measure it out a little easier, and that way I can get about the same intensity then in all 3 of my containers. I'll put about the same amount of water in there. A little bit more than I want. Put a little bit of red in there now. Oops, I don't have all the yellow out of there. My handy little nutcrackers to open up this lid. Red is usually always more intense than other colors, so I might not have to put as much red in, but I'd rather put more red in than what I think, only because I can always thin it down if it's too intense. And I don't dispose of my colors if they dry up in these containers. I just re-wet them and I can continue painting on something else or another pouring, which I'll probably do after this. This pouring was different because not only am I doing this for YouTube, but I'm doing this as a demo for one of the watercolor guilds in my community. And I've only got 2 hours to do the demo. But I want to show how detailed you can get. With this. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a number of different boards and doing different stages of it. So as I do one board, it dries while I start on another board. So I'll show you what I mean. I have, this is number 6, and actually this is the beginning, which you saw me start on this. This is the beginning. And then this is actually the end of the pour, but I've got another board that I've done that has the first 2 steps to it. Then I've got another board that I've done exactly the same, but now it's dried, and I'll do the next step on this. And then another board that's exactly the same as this with added steps. And then this is the one where you saw me pouring in thirds prior to this one. So a lot of crazy work went into this to get to this stage. And that demo is coming up soon. So I'm just getting it finalized here, and I'm really excited to do it. I won't know until I get to the demo and get to this stage on the demo where I've got everything poured and it's all the darkest, and then I remove the masking. I won't know whether this actually worked out or not, which is a little intimidating, but I also have confidence in me that I can pull it off. But it'll be exciting anyway. At least I hope it will. Now I'll do the blue. I have a cream colored sink, so when I go to rinse out my brush, I can put it up against the sink and make sure I've got all of the color out of there. I love having a sink in my studio. I'll give these a real good shake after I get them all mixed up here, so that I know I don't have any large amounts of undiluted paint in there that will mess up my pour, because that would not be good. You get those large chunks of paint and it's really hard to get it dispersed out everywhere so that it doesn't leave a big stain on your paper and ruin everything. Okay, that's done. Managed to get it on my hands. Figures. So put lids on them. Look on the bottom. Nope, no chunks. Nope. good to go. Make sure my water's clean in my container here. And as always, I'll start by wetting it, and I don't need to do this one in certain areas because it's already all ready for that. Turn it around, start with yellow up on top. Let it run all the way down. Forgot my gloves. That is a neon yellow. Oops, my gloves are all turned inside out. Try and use the same pair for a while so that I don't have to go through so many gloves. There we go. Doctor, I'm not. Anyway, okay, now put this on here. Put some red on here. And I'm going to put some blue on here, because obviously I want dark colors. Lots of green. I'm going to pour some off because I've got quite a bit on there. Gotta be careful because I don't want to get the one that's on the other side damaged. Now I'll start putting in pipettes full of color here. Let me turn this around so you can kind of see what it looks like here. I hope that's not too much of a glare. Can you hear my dog slurping up water? Annie, Annie, are you slurping water? Are you slurping water? Huh? Are you? Are you? Are you thirsty, girl? Big breath, big breath. Now I want it to dry so I can pull off the masking. I won't be able to finish this video until after my demo, when I can bring it back to you and show you what it looks like with the masking pulled off. Exciting, exciting. I have the most beautiful rainbow in my sink. Oh, yum. I love it. Love it, love it. See a couple of places where I have a little bit too much green going on because I know that needs to be more orange in there. But I sure do love this down here. Oh, if it would only stay that color. Of course it won't because it's going to dry lighter. I'm so excited. Yay! So excited. I know I'm a little crazy. That's okay. Just wiping off the masking that's already on there so that it doesn't flow back in there and ruin what I've got going. I'm going to call that good and hope and pray that when I remove this, that's all dark enough. Well, that's it for now. Next time I see you, this will be completely finished. I will have masking removed, and you'll see with me whether it worked or not. So it will seem like only a minute until I see you again. Bye. Crossed fingers. Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, it's all finished. I am so thrilled with it, and I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video and seeing how I approached this. I did make a few changes on this, and that was after I finished all of the pouring. I added some details, straightened out a few lines that were a little bit too fuzzy. I wanted them more crisp and clean, so I did change those. This is the painting, and of course it needs to be in a matte, and I haven't done that yet because I've been working with this and trying to make sure everything was really finished on it. But I added the brickwork here in the, I'm looking at my monitor so I can see, I added this brickwork in here. Whoop, there we go. This brickwork in here. It just felt like it needed something there. I darkened up a window, this window over in here, because it wasn't quite dark enough. Other than that, I didn't do a lot of changing. I didn't do any work on any of the people or the chairs, the umbrellas, or anything like that. Just simply made those changes that I think added a lot to it. So I wanted to talk to you today about trying this new technique. If you've never seen this before, other than this video, you can watch some of my other videos on pouring, and I go into a little bit more detail, especially in my first pouring video. I go into more detail on how to do it. But right now I want to talk to you about the types of things that you can pour. And I don't think there isn't anything that you can't do. You can go as detailed as you want, as light and airy as you want, with as little detail as you want. You can go big, you can go small on these. And I don't recommend going too small. The smallest I've done is this little one here. And it is one that a student and I did, teaching her how to do pouring, to help her learn values. And because you're working from light to dark, you really need to be able to see your values. And if you can't see your values, the painting's not going to turn out quite as good. So pouring, working light to dark, means you've got to really look for your values, your darkest, your lightest, your mediums, your in-betweens, all of that. So we did this. And it was just a simple pouring. We did most of the background. We did, I think we hand painted this, but I wouldn't go any smaller than this, and I think this is like 8 by 10, something like that. You can go as detailed as you want, as I've said before. This was aspen trees that I did a few years ago. You can go as detailed as you want, and it was a little confusing trying to get the leaves in there. I did this a long time ago, back in 2015, and I wouldn't do the leaves like I've done in this. I just did a lot of swirlies, curlicues, and different things to give the appearance of leaves. Now I think I would do a larger area and do smaller areas within that to give the appearance of leaves. But you can go as detailed as you want. You can do a portrait. No reason for that. I did this portrait of Grandpa Elliot. He's saying Stand By Me in a musical rendition that went around the world. And I fell in love with this man because of his character, his amazing voice. He's a street singer in New Orleans, still living. I did this back in 2015 as well, and I went to New Orleans to find this man. Unfortunately, after looking for him for a couple of days, I learned that he was in Europe on vacation, and I was in sweltering heat in New Orleans. It was 115 degrees the day that I spent walking New Orleans trying to find him, and he's in Europe. But anyway, then I got back in town. I went to a restaurant and there was a picture of him, and I grabbed that picture and took a picture of it with my camera, and then I painted him. And this was completely poured. No brush strokes on this. I didn't do anything other than pouring. So you can do portraits. I was in Hawaii and took some photographs at, let's see, this was a bonsai pipeline. It was in, it was about 4 years ago, and the waves were absolutely incredible that day. And everybody was just sitting watching the waves because there was something like 25-foot waves or larger. I don't remember for sure. But I wanted to see whether I could do a pouring out of it. There's a lot of glare on this one. But I really liked it. It certainly different than if you had traditionally painted it with a brush, but it was a lot of fun. You can go as large as you want. It's not as easy, but you can certainly go as large as you want. And this is a full sheet. Let's see here. A full sheet. And I started to do a video on this as a tutorial, but unfortunately my computer crashed and I lost all of the video and I could not recreate it. But it was a lot of fun to paint as well. You can go as airy as you want or as crazy as you want. And this was a pouring. And the reason why I say it's fun to do flowers, because flowers can give you different layers of interest. You've got your flowers that are right out front in your face. You've got stems and leaves that are back in there. You can go back in. The darker the color, the further back in the painting it goes. So you can go crazy and wild. Light and airy. I did this rose for a group of ladies that I was painting with one Thursday at my Watercolor Society. And I wasn't sure whether it would turn out. I didn't have a lot of leaves in there and just wasn't sure about it. But when I turned the masking, took the masking off, it actually turned out pretty good. And the more I look at this, the more I love it. And all I did afterward was to go in and deepen up the center on this. And I did paint the center. I had it masked out, but then I went in and had to paint it a little bit just to give it a little bit more depth so that you looked like you were looking down into the flower. And this is one of my favorites. You don't have to paint from a photograph. You can paint from your head if you want to. And this is one that my student and I did. She did one similar to this. And this was how mine turned out. And this is my all-time favorite. It was completely made up, just tulips, but it had kind of an abstract quality to it, a lot of depth to it. I just splattered some masking fluid in there and drew some lines in there, and it turned out like this, and my all-time favorite. Well, I shouldn't say my all-time favorite. I recently finished a tiger, and this is a poured video, or a poured painting as well. Very difficult because all of the white in there, the lines of the fur, I'll get up closer here so you can see this. The lines of the fur is all masking fluid, and I was absolutely amazed when I took the masking fluid off, and it had really turned out beautiful. When I look at the paper, when you pour, your paper has a different feel to it and look to it than if you paint traditionally. And so when I looked at this, the paper almost has a velvet quality to it. The fur looks almost 3D in real life. So yeah, two of my very favorites. But you can see how absolutely different they are. So don't be afraid to try this. Just make sure that you've got enough going on in the picture so that you can get some depth. The lighter colors are going to come forward, the darker colors are going to go back so that it gives you that depth in there. Make sure that you've got your lightest light and your darkest dark, and you can do it. 3 colors. But I used 4 on this one. I lied. I used a New Gamboge and quinacridone gold, and a red and a blue. So still same thing. 3 colors on this as well. So it doesn't take much to get the paint on there and make something of it, as long as you remember to mask it out. You need no less than 3 layers. More is great. So give it a try. See how you like it and share it with me. I would love to see what you've done and what you've tried. And you may not like the first 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that you do, but if you keep trying it, you'll find that you actually love this. And remember, masking isn't a problem. Just use the right tools. When I first started doing this, I absolutely hated it. And I watched it being done from a demo with the Utah Watercolor Society, and I don't remember the artist's name that did it, but hers was absolutely beautiful. And I thought, oh, I can go home and do that. I went home and tried it, and it was terrible. And I said, okay, well, it's a lot harder than it looks. So I put it away and didn't try it again for a few years. And then I saw it again someplace, and I got it all out, and I tried it again and still didn't like it. And then I took a class on it, didn't like it then. And then I thought, there's got to be more to this than meets the eye. And I'm going to try it again. So I started trying it, and every time I did it, I fell more in love with pouring. That is Pouring, pouring watercolors. And now, every time I see it, I get so excited to try it again. So try it, see how you like it, and share it with me. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll be doing more, not just pouring. I've got a portrait planned of my grandson I'll be doing. So stay tuned. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.